Well, it's that time again for another episode of Cruising on the Edge, where there's real talk, real recovery, real purpose, and real results. I'm your host, Carol Cruz, and if this is your first time here, welcome. And if you've been cruising with me for a minute, I'm so thankful that you're back. So remember to subscribe, like, and comment at the end of this podcast. Today's conversation is really where I want to take a moment to honor my mom. She passed 28 years ago. So today marks 28 years. I can't believe it's that long. She was only 69. And every day, this day, reminds me of how precious life is. None of us know how much time we have. We've made plans for tomorrow, next week, next month, someday, but someday never comes, never promised. My mom wasn't perfect, and neither am I, but she taught me some lessons that continue to shape me who I am today. I carry her strength, her resilience, and her love. But one of the things I do wish she had a chance to experience was seeing my son grow up, her grandson, and experiencing, knowing, and seeing the joy of my grandchildren and her great grandchildren. Her life and her passing continue to remind me that there are so many things that she didn't get a chance to do. So today I honor her by choosing not to postpone my life and live it to the fullest, by giving myself permission to keep moving forward, to connecting to the things that are most important to me, and getting curious to the things that I might be afraid of. So maybe that's a good place for us to start. Because if there's anything I've learned over the last 63 years, is don't wait for someone to give you permission to become the person you were meant to be. Have you noticed when waiting eats up time, how we waste time taking that first step? We wait for the right opportunity. We wait to have more money. We wait to have more experience. We wait and wait for life to finally slow down, or we wait until we have more confidence and more courage to take that leap. But what if courage isn't the absence of fear? What if courage is simply choosing your purpose over comfort? That's what we're talking about today. Last week, I explored the differences between connection and attachment to people, to relationships, to jobs, to beliefs, to expectations, and even old versions of ourselves. But the truth is, letting go is hard. Whether you're leaving a job or in a relationship that is no longer working for you, or beginning recovery. It was scary for me to begin recovery over 30 years ago. Changing careers, finally chasing your dreams, the fear of convincing yourself that there's got to be an easier, softer way. But sometimes we just are stuck. We're stuck in a rut. We don't know how to get out of it. We know something has to change, but fear and timing, self-doubt, or simply not knowing where to begin keeps us frozen. But here's what I've learned. Letting go is not the finish line. It's the doorway. Transformation begins the moment we stop waiting for that perfect time to take the next step. Yeah. When are you going to start? Where in my life have I stayed comfortable or attached? I talked about it in the last episode. Attachment can be something I hold on to, and because it becomes familiar. Connection gave me room to grow, but I had to make a choice. either stay in the relationship or the job or even in the old version of myself because it felt safer than the unknown. And at least what I was experiencing was familiar. Fear disguised itself as comfort, and comfort can quietly and conveniently keep us in a cage. And choosing fear over faith was the practical choice at the time, staying safe in that choice. But there comes a point when we stay where we are, and it's at a cost. We can't fully connect to our purpose, or we're holding on too tightly, and then we get stuck. Then the next question becomes, what made me realize I could not stay where I was? That's the question I had to ask myself. What was making me stay in something that was no longer serving me, the relationship, the job? I had already built a career rooted in service and recovery and advocacy, coaching, supporting others through their difficult moments. But what about me? I realized at the age of 59, I had several unexpected life changes. I moved to Las Vegas. I started my dream job. In 10 months, I was moving back to Connecticut to meet my grandbabies and be there for my son. I didn't get the welcome home that I thought I should have. I took another job. I got laid off from that job. I turned 60. I was diagnosed with complex PTSD. That right there, that was life-changing. I found out my ex, who I was still married to, who I am still married to, was hanging around or hanging out with his ex. I had a breakdown that eventually brought me and led me to my breakthrough. I thank God that I'm still here to talk about that. I thought I had been through enough. I had done enough. I had found a job where I could work from home again and provide me with what I needed to retire. You know, I was hoping to retire by 65. I know 67 is the norm for women. At least that's what our Social Security says, to get full benefits. But I knew any form of retirement, I had to be doing something. And between the ages of 61 and 62, secretly, I really felt I didn't care about starting over again. It was too much work. It was too late to start something new, like a relationship, falling in love, a career, or anything else. I didn't want to become a beginner again. I stopped wanting to grow. I thought that, getting older just meant not that my life was over, but, really, did I have the energy to put into a purpose? But then I realized through journaling and other things that I was doing, that purpose doesn't have an expiration date. Sometimes our greatest transformation happens when we stop limiting ourselves. Over the past several months, I've stepped into rooms that have been challenging and challenging me to think differently. Early in the month, I attended the podcast summit in Atlanta. Finding my voice, finding a community where I could build something great. It was at my age. Well, I thought that was it. Then came the AI summit with Alicia Little. Exciting, right? Absolutely. Yeah, extremely overwhelming and inspiring and scary all at the same time. There was so much to learn. New technology, new language, meeting new people, new tools. Talk about getting those new tools in our toolbox, right? Well, that was it. I had to learn new tools, new opportunities. Had been moments when I thought, Carol, what are you getting yourself into? You're getting over your head. This is costing a lot financially, time-wise. But what else was I doing? Just kind of just sitting in my job, and I'm still in that job at the crisis call center, waiting for a call to come in, waiting to provide service and support and de-escalate someone's crisis, and then having to shed myself of that after every call. But there was always something inside of me saying, keep going, stay curious. You don't need to know everything before it begins. I'm a person that always thinking forward. Innovation, that's what I call myself. I'm an innovator. But I was afraid to become the student. What's that saying? When the student is ready, the teacher appears. That's me. I had to ask myself questions. I had to ask for help. I had to make mistakes. Yeah, that part. I had to try things that I had never tried before. And I had to stop believing that I needed to feel completely ready before saying yes. Transformation doesn't begin when you know exactly where you're going. I didn't have a complete roadmap. The other roadmap I had was just cycling in and cycling out. I was doing the same things, expecting different results. Isn't that the definition of insanity? Yeah, absolutely. The decisions of opening a door, a new door, I never expected. I never expected at this point in my life, even having gotten over many, many hurdles, a lot of past trauma. You know, I was talking with my therapist this morning, and, I'll show you the picture I was showing her. This is me when I was about 3.5. I know I look older, but I was about 3.5 in that picture. And my mother, I mentioned this before, she looks like Lucille Ball. At least she had the red hair. She had the flaming red hair. This picture was taken in the facility where I was at. You'll have to read about it in my memoir when I get that out at the end of the year. And my hope is to have the final draft. And yeah, I'm sad in that picture. My mom is happy because she's come to visit with me. But that sad, scared little girl could have never imagined the doors that have opened up for me, in spite of the challenges, in spite of the struggles that I had to go through to get to where I am today. How has my purpose expanded without changing who I am? Well, it's given me purpose to want to change, to better myself, to be a better mom, to be a better friend, to be even when I was with my husband, who is still my best friend. But when we were a unioned married couple, when we lived together, I try to be the good wife, a good person. But you could be all those things on the outside for other people. But how I was feeling on the inside was incomplete. I had postponed so many things that I wanted to do and things that I wanted to get curious about but were too afraid to. I've been working on something exciting though, some exciting projects behind the scenes. I'm not ready to share them yet, but I will be in future episodes. But I will drop a couple golden nuggets. I've been learning more about AI and technology and how it functions. I've also learned how to see how it can support my creativity, how it works in business development, and how it could be used for individuals and professionals and organizations. I've been exploring new ways to bring together the work that I've already been doing for years in my recovery, my personal growth, coaching, training, all those areas. Speaking, this podcast. This was a huge leap when I started this back in October, and I'm getting better at it. I believe so. At least I'm enjoying having these public speaking moments to get better at talking to you all, but also when I do interviews and I've had guests on. And now it's new technology. Technology that has been around for a long time. And this 63-year-old is not going to let it pass by without getting clear about how important it is to be in the know and how I can share it with other people my age. My mission hasn't changed. My tools have expanded. And the heart of my work is still working with people and connecting with them and helping them to recognize their strengths, also recognizing the discoveries about their new possibilities, how they can move forward with intention and purpose. Learning new tools doesn't mean leaving behind the ones I've had that I started with. Maybe it's brushing them off and polishing them a bit. The transformation that I've been experiencing and that I've been sharing with you all is, allowing ourselves to grow and to become who we were always meant to be. Sometimes we may think that our purpose is in our job or our title or our business or even our path. But purpose can evolve. It can expand. It can take on anything we want to experience. It can weave itself into new beginnings and new things. Time isn't wasted. This time, even planning in the planning process, it's not wasted time. Nothing is wasted. The difficult seasons are our teachers, right? At least they were for me and have been for me. The unexpected detours have prepared me and can prepare you too. The mistakes have humbled me. The victories remind me that what is possible. Purpose, when we're willing to grow, purpose grows in that, right? It's rooted in that. So it's time to water your purpose. It's time to realize that something can be built and you can connect yourself to that, whatever that something is. Sometimes it means getting a therapist or a coach. And like I always said, my information is in the show notes. So if you just want to talk, let's sit and talk. Let's look over what you can only imagine your life could be. How can someone listening to this podcast today begin living their lives with purpose? Not someday, but now. Purpose doesn't always mean begin on giant leaps. I know my thumbnail, AI helped me make that thumbnail and where I'm making that giant leap because that's how I feel inside. I wouldn't literally make a leap across a cliff. I've looked down many, many times, but now I'm looking up. I'm looking up at the camera that's hopefully seeing you. If you don't see you, I see you. And that's why I make these podcasts, that hopefully that there's something I share here will resonate for you to keep moving. So sometimes it begins with the one call or the one application or the one conversation or the one class. I've taken several, got a whole classroom through school that I'm working on. Again, a little golden nugget that I want to throw down, or one journal entry, or one complete healthy boundary, or one decision. It might even start with therapy, like I mentioned earlier, or going to a recovery meeting, or calling someone you trust, writing that first page of that book you've been talking about for years, starting the business. Another little golden nugget. Starting the business idea that has been sitting in your notebook. I remember someone said it, I believe, either at the AI Summit or the podcast summit, that you're going to take a lot of notes, but don't let your dreams just stay in your notebook. Walking away from something that continues to shrink you. That's big. I know that's hard. Letting go, especially of a job or a person, or finally asking yourself, what do I want and what do I need? When was the last time you did that? If you're waiting for someone else to do it, you're going to be waiting a long time. People are in their own little bubble. I know I have been, especially when we're in pain and we're hurting and we're feeling shame. This podcast isn't about shaming anybody. It's about awakening, is about getting woke. How often do we dismiss those small steps because they don't feel significant enough? It just takes, make them get outside. It's, not raining here. I plan on getting outside after I do this podcast. Love on yourself. Take yourself out on a date. I took myself to a concert last week by myself, and I had a best time. Had great food. People around me were all dancing to Lauryn Hill. It was fantastic. And I got home safely in a Lyft. I didn't drive, nor did I drink. But take those small steps. At least try. Create moments. What does that mean? Oh, there it goes. Hold on 1 second. Ooh. Okay. Where was I? So take those small steps. Take a moment and look at where you want your life to transform and change. You don't have to take every step. Or take the whole staircase. You just need to take one little step, but also celebrate that little step. Again, don't wait for somebody to say that a girl, that a guy, just take the step. Purpose is not something we find. It's something that we live intentionally by making one decision at a time. And maybe that is what transformation really looks like. It's not a dramatic moment, but a series of courageous choices that slowly move us closer to the life we were created to live. If you remember anything from today, ask yourself these questions. If today were my last day of my life, how would I treat myself? What conversations do I need to have? What would I choose, or what would I choose to enjoy today in spite of fear? Because in reality, fear may never completely disappear. There may always be uncertainty. There may always be questions. I'm always asking questions. I'm writing them down, trying to answer them, but not all questions can be answered right away. It might need to be where I need to ask more questions of someone else and need to ask for that help. There may always be a reason to wait, but growth doesn't require an absence of fear. It requires willingness to move with fear beside us instead of allowing it to kick you in the ass. I said that in my early recovery, Well, fear, come on, let's go. I know you're going to be in my life, but I'm not going to allow you to kick me in the ass anymore. Let's just walk alongside you, or you walk alongside of me. I'm the one that's in control. Transformation is not about becoming someone else. You don't have to transform, be the person in the magazine or the content creator who's got 1 million views or 1 million followers. You just need to be you. It's not about becoming fully aware who you were, although that is a blue part of the blueprint, right? So I don't need to go all the way back to find my path going forward. I just can use some of it as markers. Markers are part of the tools in my toolbox. It's about uncovering parts of yourself that become buried beneath survival, expectations, responsibilities, disappointment, fear, shame, all of those things. All of those things that you may have been keeping in your toolbox. It may be about reconnecting with the dreams you stopped talking about. Find yourself that you stop talking about when you're in social circles and everybody's talking about, their grandkids, or they're talking about their careers and things like that. And all of a sudden you become mute. You stop talking because you feel intimidated because you haven't gotten to where they are. I know school reunions can create that. So the next time you go to your school reunion, yeah, if you want to lose that weight, go ahead and lose that weight. Get into that dress. Show up with your hair done and your makeup. Show up in spite of where you're not at yet, because that's the point. You're not there yet, but doesn't mean that you're not going to ever be there. The idea is not to place yourself on hold anymore. The idea is not to silence your voice. The purpose is to convince ourselves it's no longer worth waiting. I need to take a pause on that one. I know my mother had so many dreams, and her death was unexpected. She got sick, and within a month's time, couple months, she had died. She was an anchor in my life. She was someone that I shared many things with, some things I didn't, only for the sake of didn't want to hurt her. I am my mother's daughter, but I don't have to live my mother's life. I can continue living past 69. I know I am. At least I'm not going to die with my dreams in me. I got a little choked up. So as we close July, which we've been talking about connection, and we're preparing for August where we're going to explore transformation. So I've been throwing that down quite a bit. And again, transformation is not a performance. It's not about perfection. It's not even about, I got to do everything yesterday, right? It's the small steps. It's being kind to myself. It is taking those quiet moments and writing things down that I want to explore. It is intentional. It's one truth, one choice, one courageous step at a time. So here's a few reflection questions that I'll also put in the show notes. What has fear convinced me to postpone? Where have I mistaken comfort for peace? And if I trusted myself just a little bit more, what would I begin doing today? So thank you again for spending your precious time with me. If today's conversation resonated with you, share this episode with someone who may need to hear it. And if you haven't already, please like, subscribe, comment, join the community. It's growing, and I want to grow with you. Your voice matters. Your story matters. So please put anything in the comment, and also reach out to me privately, and let's have a talk. That's all. Let's just have a talk. And know that your next step, whatever that may be today, matters. So until next time, keep showing up, keep doing the work, and keep cruising on the edge with intention, purpose, and heart. Thank you.